Recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Secretary Sanchez, at the risk of ending the kumbaya questioning that have occurred here, I've got two questions that I'm curious where you may be coming from on it. The easier one, perhaps first, is we have numbers of businesses in our district that they're small companies that have been victims of dumping. And Commerce has told them that they can file an action, and they have pursued that, but they find out it's going to cost, for example, in this one, $1.2 million to file an action. These small companies can't afford $1.2 million to fight that, so they're giving in. And as a result, we're seeing more dumping occurring here in this country. Is there a role for the government, perhaps, to step in for companies that are undervalued or have the inability to come up with $1.2 million to fight? Is there some place that we might be able to help them?
Congressman, I share that frustration. I have under
the solution. I don't want the whining because that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to find what's the solution.
We make every effort to help companies prepare for an anti-dumping petition. Within the budget constraints that we have, within the staffing constraints that we have, we make every effort to provide advice and counsel for them. That has its limits, but we do everything that we can to help small and medium-sized companies that feel that they're being hurt by companies that are dumping. And so within those constraints, we do everything that we possibly can, and I suspect that we're not able to do all that we could or all that we'd like to. So we really don't have,
other than maybe giving some help, there's no way to pick up that cost for them?
Within the existing budget that we have, we do what we can.
Okay. Second question is further to do with dumping. We know that foreign companies they don't dump their dumping doesn't all occur in one. It can be spread out over different businesses, but one company may be, so there's called, as you know, is targeted dumping. This administration has just come out in supporting that some recent determinations on that on targeted dumping, particularly about Fufeng biotechnicals. And that decision or that report has just come in early March. Are we revisiting that, or is this something that, because we know that Fufeng had 68% of its sales varied among different customers, so they could dump on one and then charge more on another, and that avoided their dumping charge. How can we protect that if the administration is saying, I'll support that? And they have that he has signed off on this on March 4th, said he agrees with that process.
Congressman, I need to review that particular case before I respond on that. I do know that as we do, I believe, a good job within the constraints that we have of enforcing our trade laws. We also do it in compliance with our international obligations. And I would need to look at this a little more carefully, and I'd be happy to do so and get back with you.
I hope you can, because we're seeing just 20-some years ago we had a very vibrant steel industry in the northern section of West Virginia with 30,000 steel workers. We now have less than 1,000 steel workers. Now think about that. And that's primarily, they will say up and down the line that this had to do with trade and dumping. And I hear a lot of people talking about trying to help, but I don't see the activity. I don't see where that's really stepped in. People that will look at it, will reconsider that. But in the meantime, nearly 30,000 steelworkers have lost their jobs. And here it is again, where people are saying they can't come up with $1.2 million to fight back against these agreements. And then the administration coming out and saying they're going to support this decision. This is just real quick question about that. You can find it. I don't see a number on it, but it was. I'll be glad to give you my copy.
Thank you. I promise to look into it and get back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Mr.
Congressman.
McKinley. Mr. Pompeo of Kansas, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. In your written testimony, you expressed that one of the concerns foreign companies often have when considering direct investment is their difficulty entering and exiting at U.S. borders. A major employer in my district, Learjet, has a major foreign direct investment from a company called Bombardier in Canada. They're a great employer in our district. They've done a phenomenal job of taking care of our team in Kansas and building a great airplane. They have a shuttle on which they fly employees back and forth from different facilities